Okay, what is the topic, Ali? Let's introduce the topic and tell us why you're so excited.
First dates is the topic of today.
Yes, why are you so excited about it?
Because I have so many date experiences, I could literally write a book about it. By the way, me and Fatima went on the same university for 3.5 years. We never saw each other. Listen, I'm straight to the point. Give me your father's number. I'm going to talk to him and we're going to figure shit out.
Wow.
And this is how I got married.
You said you waited 7-8 years. Bro, I waited a month,
A lot of the men think that they should initiate, and women also think that men should initiate. But like how in Ali's case, Fatma initiated, which is extremely brave of her.
You build a relationship, you keep seeing someone week after week in the same group, something like that.
The challenge is your circle becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller the older you get.
Yes.
There is that a flip side of the story where not everybody has that confidence or comfort to go out and have that chat, because probably there is something in their mind about themselves where they don't feel so confident.
Then please do not go and date at 10 if you are a 5 or a 6 or a 3, for that sake.
But if you're just curious about the other person and just to find out what the other person does, what's the family background, just Ali was talking about it, just show interest. And I think that goes a long way.
It kind of drops away, because it's like, yeah, someone wants me to talk about this. I get to talk about this thing that I really love, And I think it's even more respectful to do it on the spot, both options, and I'll tell you why. It's somewhat weak to hide behind a screen and say this won't work or whatever, right? Do it there in person, to the person. And I'm talking from experience, like
I just did that post and I know that it's extremely petty. To me, it doesn't really matter, but it does, this topic does trigger a lot of the people who should pay on the first date.
we need to be specific here,
Bro, but just got that. Bro, I thought I went low. This is very low, my friend.
Welcome everybody. This is episode 6 of Men Forward and we have Neil and Ali. We will just do a quick just understand where Neil is, because I know that he has been traveling. Now he's in Ukraine, he's in Kyiv, so would love to know what's happening there. Neil, over to you.
Yeah, so in Kyiv now from Barcelona, then I went to Poland because I need to get to Kyiv from Poland, right? So spent the weekend in Poland and getting here was kind of crazy because there's no flights, obviously, because of the war. You can take buses or trains, so we opted in for the train because it's a faster route. It's still an overnight train, and with a baby, as you can imagine, is a bit crazy. So that was a really crazy journey getting in, but we did get in over the week on Monday. Today is Saturday now, yeah, so less than a week ago. And since I got here, it's been pretty interesting seeing what a country is like under war conditions, so sirens are going off. And then there's different types of sirens. So if it's the most dangerous one, you'll have to go to like a bomb shelter. But not everyone listens, because I think after 2 years of war, people are just tired and like, okay, if it comes down, whatever, it's crazy. And then there's limited power every day. So you have electricity for a couple hours, because some of the power plants have been taken out and stuff. So they have to conserve. But the good thing, it's summer. But summer here is really hot as well. So it gets like up to 38 this week. It was really hot, so you're in here working, you're sweating, like no AC, but there's still Wi-Fi, which is good. So yeah, it's really interesting to be in this place right now, with these conditions and everything. And like it's kind of crazy as well, because at any point in time, like something can just shoot out of the sky. They have the alarms and stuff, like if any Russian jets get off the ground or anything, like alarm sounds immediately, but still you don't know where shit is gonna happen. So it's a bit crazy, man. Like, yeah,
of course.
I think everyone is leaving this place and we're in here now. It's crazy.
Yes,
it must be very cheap to rent.
Well, actually, I'm at my partner's apartment, so rent free.
Even cheaper.
Yeah, but man, honestly, like for a summer vacation, if there was no war and stuff, like I think here's amazing. Like so far. I just went yesterday downtown Kyiv and stuff, like really beautiful, amazing. Cost of living is really good. Quality is amazing for like what you get here as well, like your money goes a long way, but you get really good quality. So it's like proper, it's Eastern European, not like Italy, France, Spain, but still really, really good. And it's beautiful, like lots of nature around in the city and stuff as well, like super beautiful.
Got it. And how is it? Like, are people living a normal life, or you see a lot of
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like people go about their life because they have to. Like I said, it's 2 years of war already, you know. So I think in most places, honestly, if you're on the ground, even if it's at war, it's gonna be like people have to go about. People have to work. They have to feed. They have kids to take care of. You know, like what are you gonna do? Just sit and pray all day? Like that probably won't work. You know, so people here have to continue with their life, and it's crazy. You have alarms sounding off, and then kids in the play park. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, man. Wishing you the best of the trip because I know that you'll be there for almost 2 months, right?
Yeah, 2 to 3 months. I see.
Okay. Okay. Stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah, I'm praying for the best.
Yep.
Let's get to today's topic. What is today's topic, Ali? Ali is the most excited about today's topic.
Dude, I am filled with excitement so much that I cannot keep it on my face.
What is okay? So
Dude, the problem is you even said first dates, and that already killed me. I'm like, couldn't you just give it to first date and then I will be covered? Why do you snap me, bro? That's a bit of a stretch, but that's okay. I'm gonna be listening with entertainment today.
okay, what is the topic, Ali? Let's introduce the topic and tell us why
First
you're so excited.
dates. First dates is the topic of today.
Yes. Why are you so excited about it?
Because I have so many dates experiences, I could literally write a book about it.
It's just for everybody to know he's being sarcastic. He has you have only dated one person in your life, right? Or two?
Bro, one shot, man. That's all we need, man.
Boom,
She looked at
highlights,
me, I
let's
looked
go.
at her, I'm like, that's it.
Wow.
Khalas, khalas, Habibi. Next,
No, you
next.
know what? You know what? Give us that story because man, that is a crazy
Yes.
story. I remember the first time you told us, like, wow. I was like, bro, how is it possible? You know, to tell us the story.
Very simple. So here's the thing. I was with my boys playing our net cafes. We were chilling around, spending a lot of times. We really had like a very strong bond, me and some of my youth friends. And then out of a sudden, one day, I'm like on a Friday, I'm like, okay, I need to pray before it's over time. And I go over to the university. I'm like, who's gonna be in the university 5 or 6 p.m.? I'm like, dude, 3 Friday, everyone left. I come into the to my so we have a small prayer meditation room, and I just get in there and I see two girls. I'm like, okay, if you're in there, I can just find somewhere else. I'm like, no, you can just pray in here. And I get in, I want to pray. I'm like, okay, I pray. I told them like, listen, guys, which direction did you pray? And she was like, I prayed this direction. I'm like, yeah, but that's obviously wrong. What did you use? I'm like, used an iPhone. I'm like, it's wrong. I use a Samsung. That's by the way how it started. And it's so funny. I'm like, and when I was walking out, like again, and she was like, "Oh, so do you? By the way, do you study here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I study here." By the way, me and Fatima went on the same university for 3.5 years. We never saw each other, and we have all of the common friends.
No way.
Dude, come on, man. How many brown skinned people do you have in here? I'm like, it's not that many. I'm like, so funny. We never ever met each other. So I get out there and then I'm like, I could feel something about that lady. I'm like, something was special about it. I'm like, she was the first one to get out of she's not my sister. And she's like, I remember one of my Pakistani friends. She's like, Ali, I was studying with her. I'm like, if you keep calling everyone your sister, you're fucking never going to get married. Okay. So we need to solve that. I'm like, I think you're a good guy. We can find you some lady. I'm like, yeah, but let's figure that one out when it gets to time. I never thought, I'm like, I'm going to study, finish my studies, maybe get my first job, get my first cash in, and then I could do it. So, but subhanAllah, things changes in a way that I haven't imagined. And then I get out of there, and listen, the only thing is she told me what she studied. And this is where my FBI work had to go in. Imagine I only barely know like roughly how she looked like. I had to figure out what her name is, where she studied. I cannot just go up to the dean and tell him, do you have a person that looks like this that studied in here? That would be a bit shady.
Yeah.
So I think it took me around 1.5 months to figure out what her name is and actually add her on Facebook. And if you hear the story from Fatima, she's like, bro, you literally added me and you didn't do anything for 3 or 4 days. I was in the middle of exam and she was shocked about who the fuck is this idiot who just add me and don't even text or say anything. I think there were some expectations on the other side. And then I think the story is like one day she was like, anyone, I'm like, but I wasn't too busy because I'm like, anyone who can recommend a movie, I'm like, I just watched Crazy Stupid Love that I found to be extremely good as a movie. Then I recommended the fucking movie. I'm like, on the list of all of her girlfriends that actually also commented, I'm like, and then they're like, who's this guy? Yeah, I'm also wondering. And this is how we started talking to each other. And I think back then I'm still like exactly the same thing. I'm like, listen, I'm straight to the point. Give me your father's number. I'm gonna talk to him and we're gonna figure shit out.
Wow.
And this is how I got married.
No fucking way. So you
Listen,
guys
but
met
dude,
on the first date?
I had to go to UK because I had troubles. Like, listen, I'm not Iraqi. I'm Egyptian. And here the thing, like Iraqi, maybe also like have again like culture. Like if you're Pakistani, you prefer maybe to give to Pakistan because you know the culture. I wasn't Iraqi, but I've been grown up with Iraqis. So out of a sudden, I had to deal with all of the family. It was almost a Game of Thrones to really win Fatima over. I had to go over to UK, speak with her uncle so he could solve a problem with her mom and so on. That's so funny. And dude, I was only 23 years old. I'm like, that honestly, I was, you could think about it, but still, I wasn't that mature to the level, but I dealt with it. Yeah, yeah, dude. Honestly, I'm like looking at my brother who's 22, man, looking like a banana, man. And I was dealing almost how do I get married and how do I solve all of that shit around it. But listen, 10 years after, it was totally worth it. 11.
No, but tell us about, like if you went on a first date.
We went on a first date. So, of course, again, like I think both of us really agreed on that we would love to learn. I was straight to the point. I'm like, give me your father's number. Let's figure it out. Fatima was like, calma,
Bro.
calma, bro. We live in Denmark. I'm not living in the Stone Age, okay? It's just like, okay. I'm like, listen, fair enough. Let's go out. So speaking about that one, so one of the first days, I'm like, we were out. I'm like, okay, let's meet out in the park.
Yeah.
Let's just have a round. I remember I just had my Ralph Lauren shoes, which were very popular back then, but that was the summer edition. And it was -7 or -9 that day, but I looked fabulously with them. So I decided to wear my summer shoes in the middle of the winter and walk around in the park.
Oh my
I regretted that shitty day so much, and I still regret that one, and I feel it in my feet. Listen, man, I was walking around, I'm like smiling and so on. I'm like, very nice. Fatima wearing her winter boots that she can take to the North Pole. I'm having my summer sandals almost.
Oh my God.
Dude, trust me, after finishing that one, I'm like, she's very nice, but my feet hurts a lot. So if you ever go on a date, dress properly.
Yes.
For the occasion and for the weather.
Yeah, for sure.
But listen, I think it was very, very good. But also when you get to know them, how to solve it, because we had to solve a lot of the family dramas that you see on Korean series. We had to solve that one. Fatima and her family, me and her family. Also because Fatima in the Iraqi society was, like I was saying, it was very popular. I think I've been like number 78 you actually have been proposing. So the thing that I actually got through was like, I'm like, I just took it totally chill. I'm like, that's totally chill. But again, when something is meant to happen, it will happen. And I think that's on like when people overkill it and so on, like, listen, you will meet the person that is suitable for you. And dude, it just fall to me. And and then that's how it ended. And that's why I'm like, I was 23, I was playing with my boys, having some good fun, and out of a sudden, the next day I was married. Crazy. And then we had to figure it out. And I think, honestly, there are a very big advantage of being married in a younger age. If I could do it, honestly, I don't think I was mature to the level to handle a marriage, but I would definitely have done it in an earlier age if I could do that.
Yeah.
Also, because again, one thing that we also did to give context, we took 6 to 7 years to get kids because we said also we wanted to build a fundament where we get to know each other. Yeah. Because I think one of the things that I see a lot of people do around us is out of a sudden you get married and 1 year later you have a kid. I'm like, dude, you are coming from two very separate worlds, and out of a sudden you need to build on top of fundament, and a fundament that's only built on 1 year it can be very tough and shaky. Again, it took us 6 to 7 years to figure out, okay, this is the person I'm living with. This is my commitment. And then afterwards, okay, let's drop a kid on top of that one. But that's the fundament of 6, 7 years. Yeah, so I know it's not directed to the date, but I think it's a very, very important thing because it comes long in that one. It's related to the topic of first dates, or first person, whatever it is in here. Thank you. That was my contribution. See you next episode. Ciao. Donate to News OnlyFans.
Today we are just talking about first date. Ali went to the kids, went to family.
Bro,
like I think that's
my world. All of this in one box.
Yes. So
Neil, build on that. Tell me, bro, what are you thinking? I'm seeing your face in here.
Yeah, bro. You said you said you waited 7 8 years, bro. I waited a month. You know.
Give us your context, bro. Come, drop that. Someone has to drop that bomb.
No. Let's stick to the topic. You know, we'll get to it, but let's stick to the topic.
yes.
You know,
So
like every situation is different. Every situation is different. But man, I really admire Ali's story. You know, and like you guys lived in different countries and stuff. When we met in Kuala Lumpur, you know, you did proper stuff before you even decided to have a kid, which is really cool. You know,
Yeah.
like you guys did some proper adventures and everything. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's not sway Rafe. Go back first dates.
First
first
dates,
dates.
bro.
Bring us back.
Really,
Bring us
really,
back.
really rewinding to first dates. Okay, so Ali, you have contribution, right? Because you have gone on a first date. Who asked who out? Did you ask Fatma out, or she asked you out?
I think she actually is the one who said, "Let's go out for like let's." I'm like, again, let's meet, let's connect. I at that point of time, which is why you need to know there are different versions of Ali, and that back then I'm like I was really traditional, and I'm like I believe in that traditional way. Again, I can approach you, but I would love to approach you through your family, and then we can sit there. I'm like, yes, but the problem is, again, Fatim having more experience meeting people in those traditional circumstances. I'm like, you don't really get to reveal who the person is on the other side.
Yeah.
Let's do it in a space where we can open a little bit up and understand who is this person without the pressure of, for example, having the family around and
Yeah.
people around them. Like, yeah, but that's sometimes what we do in Muslim or Middle Eastern countries or Pakistani countries and so on. But I'm like, okay, we approach it through the family, so we have the safety of protecting both. I was going to say kids, but both men and women in the relationship and building it in a proper foundation.
Yeah.
And so I back then that's definitely what I believed in, and I went with that model. I'm like, no, but she's like, no, I would love that we are actually going out and getting to know each other properly first before we introduce it to the family. And like retrospectively, I think that's definitely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
To really
And there is no right and wrong, right, Ali? Like a lot of the people prefer the way you're describing. Like a lot of people in Pakistan, and I'm sure in India, in Middle East, they're still following the traditions, where dating might not be as common as what, we are used to. And that's why I
Mm,
think your contribution to this is extremely important because, me and Ali have operated completely differently. Me and Neil have operated completely differently, and you have, done a completely 180 degrees from how we have shown up. And
mm,
and that's why I think your contribution would be extremely important. It's not only about understanding what to do in the first date, but also other perspectives like you have. So coming back to the topic, why I wanted to talk about first dates was also, I think, extremely important because a lot of the men think that okay, they should initiate, and women also think that men should initiate. But like how in Ali's case, Fatma initiated, which is extremely brave of her, and now a lot of the women are also asking men out, which is incredible. Neil, what do you think? Who should ask who out? Like in your experience, and does that actually matter?
Yeah, I think it depends on context, right? Like, I think when you're younger and stuff, like I don't know, late, like early 20s, late teens, it's like a lot of social circle. You know, it's like college and university and studying, and like, well, this is me personally. You know, and as you get older, that community element kind of fades off as you get more into career, and like my lifestyle is like always moving and traveling and stuff. You know, but um, you know relationships really tend to come from there in the early stages, if you don't go on to marriage and stuff, like dating and all of this. And then from my experience personally, it's like I have asked people out, and then it's like I had instances where it was like a group of friends, and then this was one of my first partners, and then uh, two of us had like this friendship and whatever, and then it took someone else in the group or everyone else in the group to be like, yeah, you guys, there's something there. And then they put us into a room, and until we spoke and came to some conclusion, So there's these kind of situations. But as you get older, it changes, right? But who should ask who out? I think it doesn't really matter. It's like, because it could be a woman who's interested in a man, and given the context, given the situation, like they may see each other at a limited time, you know, or even be strangers. And if they have an appeal for that person, why not just go out and say it, you know? And vice versa as well. Like you can be walking past someone who would be, you know, your potential future life partner, you know, like that's the reality. And if you stay mute, then nothing is going to happen, right? And that applies to women or men. So yeah, like there is no rule in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali, do you want to add something?
Yeah. I think so. Listen, now when you get above the age of 30, and I'm listening all of the stories from my wife and her friends and her circumstances, and I'm hearing all the dating scene, I'm like, I cannot speak about first-hand experience, but I can definitely speak about second-hand experience. And then when I'm listening to it, and because a lot of the people are like, I really like this guy. He's so nice. He's just fantastic, but he's not asking me out. I'm like, listen, this is becoming a very big challenge of men. I'm like, listen, if you find that person, I really don't care, because sometimes you don't get that chance too many times, and sometimes it's just about to take the chance when it's there. And for me, again, I think also speaking about that one, with time, I might have changed my perception about it. I'm like, no, of course, I would love that the man is approaching in the beginning, where later on, I'm totally understanding. I'm like, if you find that person attractive, a good person, you're really resonating with that person, why not take that chance? I think the stereotyping about now, no, I'm a woman, I need to wait for the man to approach me. I'm like, listen, then you would need to wait 15 lifetimes and this guy would not approach you. I
Yeah.
don't know how, and we can speak about how we men got to that level, because I'm still trying to figure that one out. But my recommendation would be, if you find that person, please do it.
A lot of the men don't have the confidence to ask a woman out or a lady out. So if they don't have that confidence, what should they do?
Why they don't have the confidence? It's more like they have fear, right? And it's fear of rejection,
Yeah.
because that is the most one of the most humiliating things for a man or anyone
Mhm.
actually, getting rejected, right? No, I think there's a good hack for this. Like if it's like someone on the street, you know, as I say, cold approach, it's going to be very hard, right? But as I mentioned, as you get older, it gets more difficult because there's less activities or community that you're involved in, all this kind of stuff, you know. But if you can keep that, because I was actually giving this advice to my friend who has been single for a while, and like, but he doesn't do shit, you know. So I keep telling him like, yo, join a hiking group, go out, do shit, and that way it will never be like you're going to someone and being like, I want to date you, you know. It's like you build a relationship, you keep seeing someone week after week in the same group, something like that, you know. Like keep doing stuff until you know it can come that way. And the benefit of that is that if you're doing something you're interested in, you're more than likely to find someone who is very similar to you in terms of your interests, right? Rather than like, you know, you're walking down the street, there's a hot chick, and the only thing there is the physical attraction, but you don't know anything about this person, their interests, their hobbies, whatever, right? And you can go try starting there, but again, it's cold. And think about it, like you don't know if she's angry at the moment, going to work, or in a rush, and you know, like what the situation is. She can just say no because she's busy. Not that it has anything to do with you, you know, like so
Yeah.
to increase your chances, I would say, try to get social and do things you enjoy, you know, and find out those communities and all this kind of stuff. A huge trend I see now is like these run clubs.
Yes,
I keep seeing
bro. Yes.
memes on it, people going to run clubs to get dates, and
Date.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it. I think that's a really good concept, and like you know, like finding someone this way who's there to do the same thing you're doing and enjoying and having fun, and
Yeah.
man,
And
that's
you're finding
perfect.
fit people, bro. Like, why not?
Exactly. You know, I was like, this should have existed in our days back in the day when we were out there. You know, like,
Yeah.
but it's
Bro,
cool.
you were running with me and some of the other bros. That's okay. You
In the
didn't get
forest,
next
like
pick.
literally, we had it, but it would have been yeah.
And I told him, no, you cannot do that.
Like, I think it's not just men, also women have these fallacies in their head. Okay, you know, like he's my friend, you know, have we have had friendship for so long, or my, you know, my colleague or whatever. And then they are also scared that what if I, you know, break this relationship and it becomes awkward and whatnot. But I think you gotta try, you know, like if you have those feelings, the best thing you can do is try. If you don't have any that kind of a person, there are so many things these days. What do you guys think about dating apps?
I think it's completely fine. Like I have used because it depends on the situation, right? And where you like, for example, when I live in Kuala Lumpur, even though I did stuff and everything, like it was one of the hardest place for me to date, right? So I did use apps, and to me it worked. It had back in the day, it had this connotation that is like a hookup thing or something, but no, actually, like is a normal person who's just like you on the other side, who it has the same struggle, So I think it's completely fine, given the situation, that you're in and stuff. And like another time was when I was working a lot, like from dusk till dawn, not going out or anything, and I was like, okay, I still would like to meet someone, date someone, and I did. So,
Yeah.
and there was the other side of it where I had like a really good social life and going out and dating and all this kind of stuff, and it had no need for it, So it's context, but I think the whole thing is dependency. Don't just look towards your screen to find someone. That's what I'm saying. Like the community side of things, doing things you enjoy, all of
Yeah.
this in a group setting. I think that's the best of the best. If you can do that, like that to me is number one.
Yeah, and I think apps have become a lot more like people have normalized that. Like for me,
Yeah,
especially,
yeah,
I
yeah.
met Eve on a dating app, and
Yeah,
it started off like that, and it went really well. And I'm sure there are a lot more people who are finding their path.
I did as well. I met my partner on a dating app as well.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's amazing. So okay, Ali.
Which dating app are you using, guys? What the heck?
Tinder,
Oh,
is it, bro? Tinder, bro.
No, 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 no. They have must match, which is totally different. That's okay, bro. That's Muslim match. That's okay. My
Oh,
brother got married. My brother got married through that one, but just to let you know.
no
yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah. There's
way.
like, but
I
that's the
swear.
thing. There's so many. There's like Christian mingle and all this kind of stuff. I think, right? Like,
Absolutely sense because at the end of it, you want to try to find that person. Because again, looking at this struggle, and again, if you let me zoom out for a second in here, the challenge is your circle becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller the older you get,
yes.
Of
which
course.
really becomes very tough to find a person because the only people you end up like having around you is either your childhood friends or it's your colleagues, and you're really not doing that much out of these circumstances. And of course your circle becomes very limited, which is why when you were speaking about that one, do we support the dating apps? Yes, but as I'm always saying, again, I'm a big fan of the art of connection. And again, you guys both know me. I'm like a social whore, and I love to only speak. I'm an extreme extrovert, so I love to speak with everyone around me. And I'm always looking for ways on how to give those skills to other people because I think at the end of it, apps are good, but don't forget if you see the chance in real life because sometimes you can see a person that, as you said, and you're like physically attracted, but also like you really resonate. I'm like, I really think this person is special, and it's really not hard on saying, you know what, you look beautiful, you look special. Can I invite you out for coffee?
Yeah.
It's literally that sentence, but the difference is, as you said, does it come with confidence or does it not come with confidence? Because that's what's resonate on the other side. And it's not more because again, when people are putting too much into the whole asking people out and so on, honestly, I'm like, it's connecting human to human,
Yeah.
not more than that. Listen, after that coffee, we might have a nice chat, get to know each other, and so on. And then I'm gonna be leaving again, or I'm gonna invite you out for another one. And listen, ladies are waiting in line to be invited out.
I
Yeah.
agree with that 1000%. I
Yeah.
agree
So
with that.
I'm like, honestly,
Yeah.
but again, I'm like, dude, it's not because you're going to be inviting someone out for a date, you're going to be married to them. I'm like, listen, I think it's totally fair. I would love, listen, I would love to get to know you. That's it. In half an hour, can I invite you out? I'm like, again, if someone like, Ali, you want to invite me out for half an hour, I want to invite you out and get to know each other. I'm like, okay, fair. But again, if I have a partner and a relationship, that's one thing. But I'm like, human to human, I'm like, let's do it. I do it with random people sometimes. I'm like, dude, you want to have a coffee, get to know each other? I think you have an interesting work profile,
Yeah, yeah.
sport profile. I want to learn more about swimming. I don't know shit about swimming. Let's get out and tell me more about swimming.
So I like that you mentioned that, Ali. I just want to add to that, right? If you reframe it and not see it as a date, but just just getting to know someone as a meeting with someone who you don't know and you want to know. That's it. It's crazy. Just reframing, because with saying date, there comes that added pressure. Oh, I need to be on my best. I need to impress. All this kind of shit. It's like, yo, shed all that shit. Just get to know this person. This person get to know you. Like this weekend I was in Poland, and I met with this guy who has an agency just like me. We never met physically. It was like a connection. 1 year ago, he followed me on Instagram because we knew someone in common, and we want to on a Zoom call. And then I met the guy. We had coffee, and then it was so good meeting this guy, bro. We had such a good conversation. Went for a walk, just grab a coffee, and then he invited me to like this Ferrari meetup. I couldn't do it because my son wasn't feeling too well and stuff. So like just having that openness to just meet and connect with people, who may be like-minded, similar interests, all this kind of stuff is super cool, So it's taking that pressure off as well. Of course, in the context of dating specifically a woman,
Yeah.
But if you view it like this, it's like yeah, exactly as Ali said, like just get to know.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to another topic. I'm like, being alive is being connected with things around you.
100%.
Listen, man. Honestly, like being alive, like in your car. How do you live in your car? Your coffee. How do you drink your coffee? How do you connect with humans around you? How do you do your work? I think it's a live in death or something like that. I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing around me. People like dead, like in their own little box, and they never get out of it. And as soon as you stick your head a little bit out, you figure out there are total different life. It's the same life. It's just when your perspective changes and you live more, then all of these beautiful things comes out. And I think that's definitely one thing that happened in Mind Valley. Dude, how many good conversations, how many good connections do we have, both inside Mind Valley? But I think the thing that I missed from Kuala Lumpur and so on is the communities and how you could connect with a lot of humans around. And Rafi, you can tell me because you're still there, dude. It's amazing how many amazing people like. It's fascinating how many amazing people I connected with in KL.
Yeah.
It's insane. But again, like it, like really sticking your head around and starting living. And I'm like, I would love to approach people for the sake of getting to know people. And I practice almost on a daily basis. But again, it's engraved in my personality. I love to get to know about other people and love to. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck do you do for not just for a living? How do you live your life? Who are you? Tell me. And I'm like, I love when people like tell me, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm like, stop bullshitting me, man. What is behind that good? Come on, open that box. And out of a sudden you get to connect. I was sitting the other day with one of my colleagues, and out of a sudden, I'm like, ask one, two questions, and went from just a normal, like, midday eating lunch at the office to me hearing about her entire family and her backstory and how she ended up being the person she is. And that's for me a connection. Nothing about dating. It's just connecting deeper with another human and getting to know them. And it's insane what bond get to be built between two humans when you have that connection. So speaking about that one, if you have a person and you get to speak for half an hour, first of all, energetically, you know exactly if this is a person, not person. And afterwards, I think also like sometimes the whole dating, if you started with an app, going on a date and so on, there's something fake about it. Or not fake, I'm sorry, polished,
Mm.
where I would love to have sincere connection from the beginning that tells you yes or no, or at least then I know a very kind and good person that might be a contribution to the rest of my life in some shape.
Yeah. And I mean, like I understand what you both are saying, but also like all three of us have had that exposure, right? Like we have worked in Mind Valley, we have done so much. We can show up a lot more confident, but there are a lot of the people who make up so many stories. They're not outgoing, they're not extroverts, like, and for them, if they find somebody attractive, and they have these fallacies in their head where they're always thinking about that, it becomes hard. I think there is that, a flip side of the story where not everybody has that confidence or comfort to go out and have that chat, like, because probably there is something in their, mind about themselves where they don't feel so confident. And I'm sure there are so many people like that who would want to do what you both are saying, right? Like having that conversation, being so comfortable, having that chat. Not everybody has that. Like they might feel very not comfortable about how they look, how, where they are at, financial status. I've heard so many things. They could be excuses, but they are actual reasons why people don't ask people out, because they're like, well, I don't make enough money. What would I talk about? Is my job actually interesting? There are so many things. So I do see that flip side as well.
Mhm.
But going away from this topic, and Ali, just tapping onto your expertise, if you want to impress somebody on the first date, how should you dress up? How should you style yourself? Because I've heard a lot of the women complaining that, some men just show up in fucking flip-flops and, like shorts, and don't really take time out to get themselves dressed. Which I also don't agree with. I think, you should put some time onto yourself, on how you look, how you present yourself if you're going out on a date. What should you do?
So can I tell my backstory before I go in here? So I
Yes.
know some people might compliment the style that I have, which is that's the part of the context. But for my first days, Fatima fucking dissed me. I'm like, listen. Give him backstory because this is also entertainment, not just educational. Ain't nobody got time for education. So on the first one, I'm like, I'm coming. I remember my beautiful green jacket, my summer shoes. I didn't trim my beard enough somehow that day. I'm fucking, I look great, whatever I do. So I come over there. I'm like, I'm half. My hair was like a bit messy, half messy. My beard and so on. And all of a sudden, I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, she tells me, Ali, did you really? Why didn't you just do more about it? I'm like, yeah, but I actually took the dishes at home.
What dishes?
I told Fatima, I prefer to fucking take the dishes than really polishing myself and doing myself ready for this one. I'm like, fucking husband material, man. That's what you need. When you get older and you have kids, you need a husband that take your dishes, not just only good looking. Good looking is an add-on. But listen, honestly, dude, it depends. I think don't overdo it. Listen, look at three of us. A clean shirt with a clean color can go very, very far.
Yeah.
Honestly, nice jeans, nice chinos is very, very well. You know what? That's going clean. If you're in a good shape, of course, it will sit very well. If you're in this good shape, honestly, take a bit something that's a bit looser or just a very nice shirt. Please make sure if again, depending on how much you have in here, if you tuck it or you're not tucking it. But it's dude, I think people do too much about it. It's at the end of it, I know people think too much about how do I look and so on because it gives an impression. But trust me, I'm always a big fan of the connection. How do I connect with another human? I think that's what I really want to give people because that's what people need. First impression, and as they say, that's a 30 seconds, 1 minute. That's it. Then your shirt is gone, my friend. Now it's your personality that need to play. How do you deal with these things? How do you have a conversation? How do you ask into another person? How do you show sincere interest? And you telling me I'm not rich, and at the end of it, if I'm not thinking I'm rich, I'm good enough, it will be reflected in how I speak.
Yeah.
Then please do not go and date a 10 if you are a 5 or a 6 or a 3, for that sake. Listen, no, listen. If it's at the end of it, because it's you just the person sitting on the other side, that's why people believe that they can fake it. I'm like, no, I think you need to be authentic, you need to be yourself, and you need to find a person who can embrace that and love that person sitting on the other side. And I think that's so important, man. Be yourself, and if it doesn't work, perfect. It's not because it gives you a confident crisis, it's just not the right person. Keep looking until you find the right person.
Yeah. And
And
nobody's a 5, you guys. You guys are at least an 8. Just I think it's all about perspective. It's all about the perspective because you see, like, if you think that you are a 5, you will always stay a 5. Let me be honest. Like, I think we have all had our ugly days where we also thought we were 5s, and like, we persevered. I think everybody should fucking persevere and not think of themselves as fucking 5s.
no, but dude, listen, I think, okay, so in my mind, but it's what you believe you are, they're different. Everything in a context. I think every person is a 10 in their context.
Yeah.
If you love board games and you are a nerdy type that love playing computer games, for God's sake, in your world, to someone else, you're a 10.
Hmm.
I think it's finding that match. But as I told you, sometimes you need to expose yourself to new circumstances,
Yeah.
and two, being brave enough to take a chance when it's there. I'm not saying that you need to take 100 million chances, but at least, like, I think it's very sad when I'm saying I'm seeing like multiple people and they like regret they didn't take that chance when they had it. I'm like, that was the perfect person. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you take the chance?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's for me. So again, back to that one. Everyone is a 10 in their circle, like in the right context. So find that context, take the chances, and I think it will be perfect for you.
Absolutely. I think all it matters is what you perceive of yourself. Like, as as
Yes,
as
yes.
as everyone says, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is extremely, subjective. Like,
Yeah.
for me, my cats are extremely beautiful. But I have also had friends. They were like, "Oh no, black cats! I can't deal," and it's completely fine. I don't expect people to love my cats or me. Like, for that matter. But Neil, coming to you for first dates, how to set the best first impression.
the way you show up is so important because it shows that you take care of yourself. And I haven't met a single woman who does not want to be taken care of. And if you kind of express and show that you can take care of yourself, you can take care of yourself, then non-consciously she's going to register. Okay, he can take care of me because he can't even take care of himself. You can't show up like a bum, first of all, right? Now, no one is saying you need to wear designer shit and all this kind of stuff. Like, first things first, you need to be in shape, get in shape, and you don't have to have six pack, eight pack. Just show that you do something. Whether it's playing a sport or going to the gym, whatever. That if you're a couch potato, no matter what you wear, it's not gonna be the best. So first things first is being in shape. Like, sometimes a guy in shape can pull off the flip flops and the shorts. As you guys are mentioning, and that's the benefit of that, right? Not that you should, but you can get away with it because you have it. You do take care of yourself in that way, right? But in general, as Ali mentioned, like, you don't need big prints and Gucci and all this kind of bullshit. It's a plain black T-shirt. You show up, well-fitting clothes, simple, not no bling bling. You don't need all that shit. But yeah, just showing up like a clean, decently dressed, fit, smelling good, person. I think is good enough. In terms of appearances.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the other element. Like conversation starters, and what to talk about, the context, where to go on the first date, all of this, right? So all of these things follow.
Yeah, and I think just a quick tip for everybody who always thinks that what they can talk about, I think it's just curiosity. If you're curious about the other person, I think that flows really well because essentially in the first date, you have so much to talk about. It's literally a blank canvas. If you're already talking in previously, it's fine. But if you're just curious about the other person and just to find out what the other person does, what's the family background, just Ali was talking about it, like just show interest, and I think that goes a long way, and versus finding what questions to ask.
Yeah.
um,
Thinking. Maybe we should actually put down 3 or 5 questions for whoever is going to be listening, or maybe as a quote or as part of what we're doing in here, what to ask to start the conversation in the first time you meet someone.
yeah, what do you think, Ali? What should they ask? I think we can do 2-3 questions from you, 2-3 questions from Neil.
Dude, I'm sincerely always curious about what people love doing in their life.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, let's tell me, because it's one of those things. Again, I'm also coming from sales, so I know how to ask open-ended question. That no, but it's very important for me. Ask a question that makes the other person speak about something that makes them shine. I think that is so important. Let them. Do you love pets? I'm like, okay, tell me more about your cats. And people can speak about their cats, dogs, or elephant for hours. That's also very interesting. But here's the thing. For God's sake, and this is where I see it, when you are unauthentic, if you're asking a question just for the sake of asking a question, this is where it becomes very fake. If you're not sincerely curious about the other person and listening actively to what they're doing. Because what people believe, I'm like, it's not the question, it's also like energetically something happens below all of that between you and the other person, and you're building a bond.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I'm like, ask whatever you're sincerely curious about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that
Sincerely.
matters, sincerely, because I think being present and not checking the phone and not looking around other, checking other people out when she's talking to you, I think that is a bit weird. As long as you're present, I think that's what matters, right? Like, you're present, you're talking to that person, you're interested, you're listening. And I think, Ali, you do that really well, because I think there have been so many people in Mind Valley who have poured their heart out to you. I don't know how you do it, but I think it's because you're present. And you show that side where you listen really carefully, and then you ask the right questions. What about you, Ali? Oh, Neil, sorry. Next, up to you. Like,
Yeah.
what some of the questions that you think can be good questions for the first date?
So, as Ali said, open-ended, right? You don't want yes, no. Like, you can do that over texting, and I don't really recommend texting. Save conversations for when you're in person. But anyway, yeah, one of the most important questions is, like, ask them what they're passionate about, what are their hobbies, interests, like what really lights them up. And you get to see someone's enthusiasm this way as well. Their real energy, it comes out. And they're more open when they're talking about this kind of stuff. whatever layer or barrier may be there, you know, against, like, it kind of drops away, you know, because it's like, yeah, someone wants me to talk about this. I get to talk about this thing that I really love, you know. So I think, yeah, that for sure is really important. First date, you don't want to talk about, okay, where do you see yourself 10 years from now and stuff. Maybe later in the conversation, but you know, maybe not first date topic, right? But find out where they are presently. So ask them, you know, like what's your day to day routine like, and if they're working or studying or something, you know, like dig deeper into that. You know, let them expand on that. So there's no way you can run out of stuff if you're talking about this, right? Because they have their day to day life, whatever they're working on, and all this kind of stuff. You know. Um, and then yeah, from there you can probably, you know, expand a little bit into their past as well to get to know who they were, or what brought them to the place that they are right now, you know, what built them into them at this point in time. And I know you mentioned you shouldn't look at anyone else and stuff or use your phone. That those are like, you know, really good pointers for etiquette. You know, that's basic respect for someone that you're meeting with and who's sharing time with you. You know, I think everyone should already know this, but it's good that you mentioned it as well. Checking phones and stuff, huge turn off. You know, don't do this.
Yeah.
And if you want to check someone out, you can wear sunglasses so they can see. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like really being there with that person present and listening. I think that's very important. You know.
But Neil, do you know also what always works? Again, depending if people got tattoos.
Yeah, just ask them about it. That's the thing.
Dude, it's for me and honest because like a lot of the people in the office, one of the conversations started. I'm like, it's very nice. I'm like, I see you have one, two, three tattoos. Which one is your favorite tattoo? And based on that one, I'm like, okay, based on your favorite tattoo, how did you get that one? What's the story? Because again, what you're looking for is stories because stories make people connected. For a lot of people, it actually means something. It never, you just don't tattoo something on your body. Some people do it when they're drunk. That's another story. But at least then you get the story of someone who was drunk and then they got that tattoo. I'm like, tell me about that story. I think, okay, if I really need to conclude something here, how do you open up for person telling stories?
Yeah.
Or life stories? Because whatever topic gets you to that, again, whatever starter, because again, at the end of it, what we're always speaking about is it's a conversation starter.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to have something like a motorcycle. You need to just kick start it, and then when it started, then it will flow. And that's the thing. I'm like, how do you overcome that awkwardness? Because most of the time, I'm like, oh, weather is too hot today. I'm like, fucking shut up, man. We live in Malaysia. It's hot every single day.
24/7. 24. And if the date is going well, you can also ask, where else do you have the tattoos? You know, like if it is going well, otherwise it gets awkward.
Yeah.
But getting to the next point, and of course, I think we just have two more questions left, and then we'll wrap this session up. If the date goes well or it doesn't go well, you know, let's say the date was terrible and you don't want to see that person again, or if it went really well and you want to see that person again, what should be the next steps? Because a lot of the people I've heard that, you know, like if the date is not well, they just ghost. You know, they're like, you know, okay, I'm not going to talk to this person anymore. Won't see. I think it's really, really bad. You know, there has to be some next action steps that somebody takes, and just, you know, close the conversation. If it's not going to work out, you just, you know, man up and tell that person that, yeah, it's not going to work out. What is your perspective on this? Starting with Neil and then go to Ali.
Yeah, so 100% you need to make it explicitly clear, you know, and I think it's even more respectful to do it on the spot, both options, and I'll tell you why. I think it's somewhat weak to hide behind a screen and say, you know, this won't work or whatever, right? Do it there in person, you know, to the person. And I'm talking from experience, you know, like I had this time when I was really young and I break up over the phone, you know, and I was like, man, after I felt like shit, you know, like this should have been in person, out of respect for that person, you know, human to human, face to face, like how we connected every other time, you know. So yeah, someone invested their time with you and everything. Don't and you already made a decision. You came to a conclusion. This may not work. Then say it on the spot, you know. And it has nothing to do with the other person, most likely, right? It's just your personal preference. So I don't think they're gonna feel horrible. Maybe in that moment they may be a little broken-handed, or maybe they feel the same. Who knows? But when they leave there, they won't, be lingering, waiting for a response or a text 2 days later, 3 days later, in anticipation all this time. It's done. It's done. And on the other side, if you really think it went well, you will know when a date goes well, right? From both sides. Then and there, you set your next meetup thing, and I recommend, like, on the first date, food and stuff is always really good, right? Don't go for I would probably wouldn't recommend, if it's like someone you never met before and stuff, probably wouldn't recommend something too crazy, because what if it is just not connecting, so to mitigate risk, food or coffee and stuff is good. I think dinner is my go-to, but everyone has their preference, right? So second date, though, you can, make it more interesting. You get to know this person, really doing some activity. I know
Yeah.
you and Eve, you guys play tennis and all this kind of stuff. So things like this, activities, go take her on a hike, something interesting, something that would challenge her as well. So you get to see her tolerance for a little discomfort or something different. I think is good as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but do it there. That's the main thing. Do it there on the spot. You're in person. Get to it.
Yeah, I think it's also a weak behavior when you either ghost somebody or just do it over text, because you're probably scared of seeing the emotions from the other side, and you don't
Hmm.
want to you don't want to deal with that. That's what it is essentially.
Yeah.
And I think instead of creating that hope and getting that chase that, oh, she's chasing me, she's trying to text me, or feeling good about yourself, I think it's better just settle it there and then. And if you are clear that, yeah, this is not the person for you, you move on and let her move on too.
Hmm.
Moving to Ali.
I can tell you how it is for me as a person, and then I can tell you about the experience that I'm having with some of my friends around me. But first of all, I think after Nir spoke about it, then it's like, that makes absolute sense to really close it in person, because it's different on how you express your emotions face to face versus when you do it through any medium of like whatever it is, like through the medium. So I would definitely vouch for that idea. Number two, because I'm seeing like some of my friends, like he's becoming a pro afterwards. I'm like, but he's really trying to find that right person, but he's also getting to level like, because you might not find them suitable, and he will like very politely delete it. The problem is because they found him very attractive. As soon as he leaves and he want to close it, they're like, so I'm not good enough for you. And they really, bro, they get like fucking shitload of emotions out of him. Like, listen, I just told you it didn't work out, and that's it. And I'm like, he's a very busy guy. He don't want to sit down and deal with all of that drama. I'm like, very, very simple. Like, we got to connect. But I think honestly, it's now I'm just thinking out loud on this topic. But maybe the rule of how to continue and how to end it should be brought maybe already in the early steps and so on. Like honestly, I'm just thinking about sales. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's same.
Whoever you're speaking with and you have a prospect, you need to tell them you have an exit along the way, and it should be totally fine for both of us to pull the trigger and say, okay, listen, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, but you can do it in a very mature way. Like I'm saying, listen, I would love to get to know you. At the end of it, blah 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 blah. But if it doesn't work out, then for both parties, both for me and for you, let's end it in this way where it doesn't have any hard feeling. Because honestly, for a woman, being ghosted by a man and not feeling good enough, we spoke about men and men's confidence. Can you imagine for a woman
Hmm.
that is way more emotional creature, and she's getting to the level of being ghosted and I'm completely not good enough? And I'm hearing from my wife and her friends when it happens, dude, it really hurts them hard.
Yeah.
The world falls apart, and almost their existence is like damaged by doing so. So definitely I would love that maybe it hurts a little bit, but they move on than ghosting them and letting them sit with 100 million questions about their insecurities of one not good enough. So I don't have the ideal one, but I can just tell by my and like sometimes matching expectations early on in the process, even very early on after the open question. I'm like, listen, but as I told this, it's a mature man, not even a confident man. I think this is where a mature man comes in and really shows character. listen, we're here to get to know each other. It might be this or it might be that. In both ways, I would love to enjoy this conversation with you. By at the end of it, if it doesn't work out, how would you prefer that we end it?
Yeah.
Then you get to speak about it, and out of a sudden this person might tell you about previous experiences. And by the way, by just doing that and showing that level of maturity, you showing character. And trust me, this is something that people appreciate. Humans, men, woman, whatever it is, you are a mature person, and I think that would be highly appreciated. So that would be an extra tip for someone sitting in there showing maturity.
Amazing, you guys. So, last question, quick question. We are already at an hour mark, which is great. I just did that post, and I know that it's extremely petty. To me, it doesn't really matter, but it does, this topic does trigger a lot of the people. Who should pay on the first date? Ali, we'll start with you, and then we go to Neil.
So let me tell about this. It depends on the context. I can tell my friend and I can take myself. I'm a man, I would love to pay the bill. But for my friend who have been on 50 dates and he's like, dude, and he's in a good shape financially, but I'm like, dude, if you invite people on fine dining or something good every single time and need said like halfway you figure out what the falafel is this, it actually becomes very expensive, okay? And it really adds up. So on the first date and so on, I would always say, I will maybe go for the man doing it, but that's also me and also culturally. Imagine a woman pays for me. I'm like, fuck, that would be tough for me.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. It's hard. I don't think I will deal with it.
What about you?
I will go home like, who am I?
Neil.
You paid for me though.
Same.
That's my first, bro.
Same. Man, 100% should be paying. But I wanna share something because these guys out here maybe dating and doing Tinder and all this kind of stuff. There's women out here who just go on Tinder to get guys to pay for their food. So they have date. So the dating apps and stuff, you have to understand this. Women have a list, because the amount of men that would swipe on an attractive woman is insane, right? Like every dude, basically. But the amount of women that would swipe on a guy is not that high in comparison, unless they're Brad Pitt or something, or famous or some shit. But know this, there is instances where women would just have dudes pay for their meal. So fellas, be warned, because this is a real thing out here. Rigid.
How do you think Neil he survived in Malaysia?
No.
All them sugar mummies, my friend.
Bro, I know. I honestly know people that do this stuff. So
if it works, it ain't stupid.
Yeah. It's like so. It depends, but men always pay. But yeah, be careful. If you're doing a lot of dating, then yeah, it will rack up, like Ali said.
But guys, can I for a quick second now? Okay, you tell me about the experience. But honestly, I would prefer to sit down with someone on a coffee or something light than me just eating I don't know what the heck in my mouth and all over the place and so on. Wouldn't it just be easier just to have something very light and just sit there? And you tell me again. I don't know.
So I think personally, no. If you're younger and stuff, maybe. But I think as you get more mature, like I'm 30, you guys are in your 30s as well. If I were to have to date, knock on wood now, it probably won't be like that. I would do it proper, take someone for dinner, because women like dressing up and looking good and showing up well and all this kind of stuff. So it's an experience as well. So I think all of these things come into context. Like that's why I always even before, like I would always go for dinner. Like
okay.
Yeah.
Because see, like when you're going for a date, you have already had that conversation. Like for me, like I just don't go out on a date just by having hi and hellos. I do want to get to know that person first. If I do like that person, I would want to take that person out to something nice, and have spend that time. Like it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a proper meal. It could be anything nice where both of us agree on. And I would always initiate paying first, but if if she's pushing for it and she wants to do it, I'm also fine with that. Like I don't really take that on myself at all.
If she's a bodybuilder and double my size, trust me, I will bag up my friend.
No, but
sit down.
one thing to mention there, like a lot of times they would opt in to pay, but it's just to test you as well. So that is something to note, like if and then I don't know, I might get banned for this, but the way women think is insane, right? Like we all live with women, so we know. But sometimes she may think like, oh, he's actually letting me pay. Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Yes.
So
Yes. And there are some who, like if even if you open the door for them, they'll be like, what the fuck? Why are you opening the door for me? I can open
But
my
listen,
yeah,
guys. If the only
stay
way
away
I
from
will
that
let her
type.
to
By
pay,
the way,
guys, if I'm going out with a feminist, I will let her pay. Or trust me, I will like split the bill. Trust me, I will do that.
let's not go down this road. I lived with one, right? So
Yeah, bro. Like I think we have gotten a lot more mature about this, and like
oh yeah,
it's all about understanding and reading the situation. If they are really forcing, like no, I will completely fine. Let them pay. If but I think it's about the effort. Like you have to put in enough effort. Like for myself, like I would make sure that I put in enough effort, and I pick up the bill first. Period. I expect the same from her. But if she doesn't do it, I don't really mind. It's fine. And with that being said, I think it was an interesting podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, like we will be back next week. Any last words, Ali Neil?
I think the key is women like to be taken care of.
Yes.
So going with that mindset,
Yeah, and also men like that too, by the way.
100%.
Yep, and cats and dogs
Yes,
and
my cats love
my
it.
table and
Everyone
my
who
life.
doesn't like to be taken care of.
Who
Yeah,
doesn't
everyone
like to
needs
be
to be
taken care of?
taken.
Yes, man. All right.
Peace. See you guys, bitches.
Peace.